Hello and welcome to Lorcan Villain. My name is Baker and we've got breaking news, probably the biggest news to happen in Lorcana's lifespan. We have our first official bans to core constructed format. This has been posted on the official Disney Lorcana website. These bans are Flavversham. They did it. They actually went and did it. And Fortisphere. Let's read the statement. Disney Lorcana TCG bans 2 cards from competitive play. Today, the Ravensburger Disney Lorcana TCG team announced removing 2 cards from eligibility, known as a ban in the core constructed format. A ban is an important part of keeping a trading card game like Disney Lorcana thriving and fresh. The game design team chose to ban Flavversham Toymaker and Fortisphere to ensure the greatest diversity of successful strategies was available to competitive players. The ban is in effect as of April 8th to 2025, which is today, people, today, meaning all Disney Lorcana events taking place after that date will no longer accept deck lists with those cards included. This marks the first time cards have been banned since Disney Lorcana TCG launched in August 2023. They did it. They actually did it. The Lorcana community has been calling out for bans for a long time now and asking for a few different cards to be banned. But Flavversham has quite consistently been on a lot of people's lists for cards that need to be banned from Disney Lorcana, and it has finally happened. These are our first bans. We had an errata some time ago, the first and only errata in TCG, which was Bucky Scroll Squeak Tutor. His text was completely changed. But this is the first time we're actually having bans. So why? Why these cards? A video like this might have some reach beyond the hardcore Disney Lorcana competitive scene. People that are fan of other TCGs that just may be interested to hear, oh, Lorcana's had its first ban. What is it and why? Why these cards? So let's provide a little bit of context. Flavversham, who is the main culprit here, really, in my opinion. We've had this card since set 2 of Disney Lorcana. He came in Rise of the Floodborn. We are currently in set 7, with set 8, The Reign of Jafar, on the way. And this card has been an absolute staple of the Sapphire decks. That anyone running Sapphire, he's been a staple of those decks ever since his release. So let's look at the card text. He's a 4-cost Inkable, 1 Strength, 6 Willpower, 1 Law, and the Artificer ability. When you play this character, and whenever he quests, you may banish one of your items to draw 2 cards. Now, if you're not a hardcore Lorcana competitive player, a little bit more context. In Lorcana, there are 6 different ink types. You have Ruby, Sapphire, Steel, Amethyst, Emerald, and Amber. And in a deck, you're allowed to run cards from up to 2 different ink colours. And each of these inks has a different strength. They all do lots of different things, but they all have their own core identities. Ruby has a lot of cards which just remove other cards, like Maleficent Dragon, who on play you just banish a character. You have cards in Steel, and then along came Zeus, which do effect damage to a character. And there are plenty of other Steel cards that some of them are on songs, some of them are on characters to do effect damage. Amethyst has a lot of cards that draw cards. Emerald has a lot of cards that makes your opponent discard. Amber takes advantage of the singer keyword, and singing is one of the most powerful things you can do in Lorcana. And Sapphire is known as the ramp colour, to be able to accelerate resources so that you can play more powerful, higher costed cards sooner in the match. Now, they do all have other identities and things that they lean into. For example, one that we will talk about is Sapphire is very heavy on items in general. A lot of their cards have synergy with items, and this Flavversham being the greatest of all. And the problem has been that Sapphire being the colour that can basically skip turns and funnel your resources sooner, paired with something like Ruby, which has all the removal cards, already you're funneling your resources and you're playing these bigger characters sooner. You've got access to Ruby, so you've got access to all this removal. You should not also, on top of that, have a super reliable draw engine, and that's exactly what Flavversham is. Now, he's hard to remove just as is. There are some cards that remove him. Having 1 strength, there are some cards in format, specifically in Ruby, which are played specifically to remove this Flavversham, although there are other cards who have low strength, so other reasons to run things like Brawl, which is a card that removes a character with 2 or less strength. The problem is, even if you do always immediately remove this Flavversham the turn after he's played, it doesn't get around the fact that this ability happens on play. There's nothing you can do to stop them playing this Flavversham, banishing the item that they've already played and draw 2 cards. Unless you also run item removal. Not a lot of decks in Lorcana run item removal, and even if they did, these decks run so many low-costed items that it's easy for them to just play another one. So there are ways you can interact with the item ahead of time, but if there is an item, there's nothing you can do to stop this Flavversham coming down, banishing that item and drawing a couple of cards. If he does just sit there and your opponent can't immediately remove him, and he's allowed to then quest and banish a different item to draw another 2 cards, that sometimes on the spot is just game winning. But even if you immediately answer every Flavversham, you're allowed to run up to 4 in a deck. Sometimes just playing 2 Flavvershams in a game is enough for that extra 4 cards of resources, which allows you to just overpower, get to that late part of the game where you've got loads of ink, you've got these huge characters that you can play to the board, and you just dominate. And Ruby Sapphire decks have been dominating the Lorcana meta for a long time. Also, Sapphire Steel has become a very, very dominant ink combination, especially as of set 7, where we got a couple of really good support cards, one being Belle, who's a 3-cost character, but if you have an item, then you can play her for free. So you could play your 1-cost item, which draws a card, banish it, and play down this Belle, and on turn 1, you've got this really good beat stick, which 3-cost character is really important, because there are really good songs in Lorcana which require a character of at least cost 3. And there's also a couple of Tamatoas. We've got the old Tamatoa So Shiny, who gains extra lore depending on how many items you've got in play, and he can get items back from the discard. And if you look like something like Fortisphere, which is a 1-cost item which draws a card, and we're going to talk a little bit about Porpsicle, which is a Sapphire 1-cost item which draws a card, you can see how this Tamatoa's lore could get carried away very quickly just for playing cards that are 1 cost and allow you to just keep drawing cards. So that's pretty good. And then we recently got the new Tamatoa 6-cost Happy as a Clam, who on play allows you to return 2 items from your discard to your hand. And when you've got these low-cost items in the discard, which you've been put in there because of Flavversham, because he's been drawing you cards, then you just get back 2 cards that basically just allow you to keep drawing. And it's all gotten a bit carried away, and Sapphire is really, really strong, is basically the long and short of it. And this Flavversham is such a pivotal piece in those decks. I'm so happy to see this. Let's also take a look at Fortisphere. For people who are newer to Lorcana, 1-cost inkable item. When you play it, you can draw a card, and the second ability is you pay 1 additional ink and banish the item, and you can give a character bodyguard for the turn. And then the Porpsicle, which is the Sapphire 1-cost item, you draw a card when you play it, and then the second ability allows you to heal damage from a character. Those secondary abilities aren't why we're playing these cards. They're great to have, and they do come up in Lorcana competitive play, but you're playing it just because it is a 1-cost card that draws you another card, and it's an item, so it helps this Flavversham, and it helps those other, the Belle that we talked about, and the 2 Tamatoas that we've talked about, and there's other cards that synergize with items as well. So this Fortisphere is also gone. Some people may be asking themselves, why not Porpsicle as well, which you could kind of argue is the far more powerful one because it's in the same ink color as things like Belle and the Tamatoas. We have no more information other than what's been provided on the website here. I'm hoping that they do some sort of Q&A or something on the Lorcana Discord, and maybe we'll be able to hear a little bit more about their thoughts on the matter. If I was to guess, I think it's just because I think if you take away Porpsicle as well, then those Tamatoas become probably nigh unplayable. Like, maybe that's an over-exaggeration, but they get so much worse. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Sapphire is an item-based color. So I think they still want them to have their 1-cost draw a card item so that it can have, they still want that to be its identity, and they want it to be a relatively good deck. What do you think? Do you think Porpsicle should also be on this list? Are you happy with just these 2 cards being on the list? Personally, I am ecstatic. I think Flavversham leaving the game is absolutely the right call. And I'm glad to see the Fortisphere go as opposed to the Porpsicle as well, to be honest. I think Steel should never be drawing a card unless it's also discarding having a card. Like, you look at cards like Doc, or Simba Fighting Prince, or Simba Future King, or the Mulan, and there's plenty more which are like draw a card, discard a card. I think that's much more Steel's identity. And item removal really is Steel's identity with cards like Benja, and I find on my Platinum. So I support keeping losing Fortisphere and keeping Porpsicle. It allows things like Tamatoa to still be good. I'm not sure if you still play Bell anymore. I mean, the red-blue decks weren't really playing Bell anyway, but the Sapphire Steel decks absolutely were. Sapphire Steel is definitely the deck that changes the most as a result of these bans. But to be honest, I think it still thrives. I think it just goes back to set 6 Kiwi Bird sort of list, the style of list popularized by Justin and Harlan Sweet, where they weren't even playing Flavversham. They were playing Doc as their draw engine and then just being super aggro, play your curve out. They only started playing Flavversham and Fortisphere and Porpsicle because they got Bell, and Bell was too good not to pass up, especially because then you could also play Storm with her, let the Storm rage on. So I think Blue Steel is still a deck, because the Kiwi Bird style of the list was really, really good, and these bans don't affect it at all, but of course it changes the way it looks at the moment, a lot of them anyway. Ruby Sapphire, how much does it change things for Ruby Sapphire? I think the Sisu Coil versions of the list suffer the most. I think the DKP Shark builds with Manners and Super Goofs and Sharks, I think they might still be able to do okay. I know DKP played a couple of lists where he was only playing like 2 Flavversham, so maybe that version of the list can still survive. They still have things like How Far I'll Go, which is great at like ramping you and like filtering through the deck and finding you the right cards that you need, but this Flavversham was such an important part of their plan. I definitely think Ruby Sapphire takes a hit. The coil versions of the list I think suffer the most, but they will still find their place. Ruby Sapphire, my immediate bet is that it's still going to be a deck, but it's lost its throne completely. What are your opinions? Let me know down below. And if you are pleased to see this, like, make some noise. And even if it's not in my comment section, on Discord or Twitter, let the Ravensburger team know that you are happy about this. And if you're not happy about it as well, by all means, like, and let me know down below, because I'm interested to hear from people that don't think this is a good idea for any reason. Personally, I'm thrilled. Let me know down below your thoughts. Overall, I think this is really good for the game. I think it opens the meta up a lot. My immediate fear is kind of that Emerald Steel discard is they're going to prey on this. I think we're going to get the second coming of Diablo heavy discard decks. That's my immediate impression, and that worries me a little bit, but I still think this is a good thing, and it sets a great precedent. They've, like Ravensburger have said before, like, if they feel the need for bans, then they would do them. But it's great to actually see this implemented. But yeah, let me know down below your thoughts. Are you happy about this? Do you think there should? Do you think there's an argument for the Porpsicle? Can you understand them keeping the Porpsicle? Let me know down below. But yeah, no Lair today. We didn't do a laugh to come in with the video or anything like that. If you're not a regular watcher and you're just checking out the Lorcana news, the breaking news going on, I'm Baker, or Lorcan Villain. I've had the privilege to be a Lorcana caster for the European events throughout Lorcana's competitive play lifespan so far, which has been a great honor. So yeah, that's me. But yeah, let me know what you think about this down below. But that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show support, and we'll see you soon.